Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this tutorial about how to make concept maps in physical science. You just finished a three-part tutorial on how to do Cornell Notes. And Cornell Notes are an extremely important tool that we're going to be using to make sure that you learn the most from every lesson. Concept maps are the exact same thing. A really important tool to help your brain get the most out of every single lesson that we do in physical science. Now, here's what we're going to do. First of all, I'm going to show you how to open up a concept map from your Google Drive. Then I'm going to explain to you why a concept map is so useful for your brain to learn things. And then finally, I'm going to show you what I expect when you create a concept map. So let's get started by searching for a concept map. And I'm just going to type in the words Unit 1 Concept Map. Here's the thing. There's only one concept map for each unit in physical science, not for each lesson. Let me give you an example. Unit 1 in physical science has 4 lessons in it that help you understand the whole unit. But instead of having a concept map for each individual lesson, there's one big concept map that has all of the terms for the entire unit. Why do things that way? Well, the concept map helps you to make sense of the whole unit as one big piece of unified information. Instead of just disconnected lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, without ever thinking about how they relate to each other, the concept map helps you think through how those individual lessons relate, and that helps your brain learn better for the long term. So let's click and open this concept map, and this is what the concept map for Unit 1 looks like. Now here's how a concept map works. You see those terms over on the left? They're organized by the 4 lessons in Unit 1. When I access a new lesson, there's going to be instructions in that lesson somewhere to go to the concept map and arrange the terms in the way that makes the most sense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag each of the terms from the left, from the lessons, out into the main space of the concept web. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And then I'm going to draw lines that connect those terms together. Here's why this is helpful for your brain. Brain cells are very interesting cells in your body. Each brain cell has a bunch of branches hanging off the sides of the cell. Those branches then intertwine with the branches of other brain cells. And here's how it works. Your brain cells will intertwine with other brain cells and make new connections when you learn new things. So maybe you have a region of your brain that understands the definition of matter. If suddenly you realize that the definition of matter is related to another region in your brain that has the definition of mass, that matter and mass are related, when you learn that, new connections are formed between those cells in your brain. They come together and they actually make new physical connections with one another. Concept maps mirror those connections that are made in your brain. You're going to be putting concepts, kind of like brain cells, on the page, and then you're going to be showing how you understand that they are connected to each other. This is kind of what your brain does when you learn new things. So let's take a look at how that works. In Unit 1, Lesson 1, I'm going to be asked to drag these 3 terms out into the main space of the map. And some of them are going to be related to each other and some of them aren't. So let's say, for example, after watching the first video, I find that matter and energy are related to each other. I'm going to show that they're related by first dragging them out into an organized space on the map area, and then going up to this line tool in Google Drawings and drawing a line that connects matter to energy. Now notice when I hover over matter with my line tool, these 4 purple dots appear. If I click near one of those dots, it's going to snap the line to that dot. And then I'm clicking and dragging down to energy, and notice, 4 dots appear on that one also. I'm going to snap the other end of the line to the energy bubble. And now I've got a line between the two. But here's the thing. In a concept map, anytime you draw a line, you are required to explain why you made that connection. So I'm going to go back up to the toolbar to the text box tool. I'm going to click and drag a text box into the screen. And I'm going to type in why I connected matter to energy. Maybe I'll say something like energy is matter times the speed of light squared. Okay, there are so many things wrong with that statement that I just made. Don't worry about that. I only typed that in as an example. That is not at all what we're really learning in the first lesson. It's just an example for the map. Now, I'm going to change the font size of this because 14-point font is too big. I suggest 11-point, big enough to read, but small enough to not get cluttery on the map. Then I'm going to click and drag it so it takes up a good amount of space. There we go. I'll fit it onto 3 lines, and I'm going to move it over so it's right next to the line that it is explaining. And there we go. I've started my concept map. But I have to also place the word space. So I'm going to put that in the map as well. And I'm going to choose that I understand space is not connected to matter. Maybe you're going to choose that too. Maybe some things aren't connected. However, because space is now on this map without any connections or any explanation, if you have anything on the map that's not connected to anything else, you need to explain those non-connections as well. Keep in mind, you don't have to explain every single non-connection on the map, only when you have something that's not connected to anything else at all. So here, I'm going to explain this connection using the text box tool, clicking and dragging a text box, and saying that space is the absence of matter and energy. And again, that's not exactly true. I would never write that in a real map. That's just for the sake of example here. I'm going to make that an 11-point font so that it fits a little bit better on the page, drag my text box a little bit to fit it, and then drag it to a place that makes sense. Now, in each subsequent lesson, I'm going to keep dragging out terms onto the map, and I'm going to keep connecting the terms that should be connected with lines to show connections that make sense. I'm just doing this for example. And on every single line that I make, I have to write an explanation. When I'm finished with my map, I'm going to have a coherent explanation for how all of the terms in the unit relate to one another, and my brain is going to have thought through and be able to hold on to the relationships between terms in the unit.